Hey guys, so I'm here with my wonderful wife, and we're here to discuss role-playing game characters and where they come from. So, have you ever considered at a deeper level of understanding exactly where our RPG and fictional story characters come from? Do you notice unique aspects of yourself within what you have conjured from your own imagination, and perhaps find it quite satisfying or even cathartic to express these traits in another realm or fantasy narrative? We have certainly discussed this as a couple, and thought it may be interesting and a little helpful to those of you who might be interested to make a slightly different video focusing on just that. With the assistance of my wife, Hevsky, we will be taking a look at her key characters. Who are they? What they represent? Where they come from? And how they help her to express herself, as well as allow a more creative means of self-discovery through RPG and story writing.
Right, so there is the concept within psychotherapeutic approach of psychosynthesis, originating in Italy by psychiatrist Roberto Assagioli, which theorises that people are made up of various subpersonalities. In terms of therapy, this school focuses on harmonising an individual's subpersonality to assist their personal development and therapeutic progression. In essence, the process of synthesising one's subpersonalities can allow the individual to evolve into one robust, organic whole. That being said, when it comes to RPG and creating our characters, I couldn't help but recognise this theory become more prominent from my past years of studying psychotherapy as I analyse my own characters that I'm about to share with you today.
Yes, we hope you find this video enlightening and that it inspires you to allow your characters to guide you as you explore your own personal development adventure in a more fun, creative and a little more quirky way.
Yeah, just to point out before we get started, not all characters come from this deep level that I'm going to be speaking from. There are characters that come from like ultra surface level that are just made for fun. You just are like experimental personalities that you may want to have a go at being, try playing that out to see from that personality type's perspective. So there are characters like that. I just wanted to address that the ones that I'm going to be speaking from are from a deeper level, and I guess Dean, you're going to be talking about the same with your characters as well.
I most certainly will, yes. I don't think mine's going to be as well worded or explained in a more therapeutic sense, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I will be explaining my characters and where I think they stem from. So yes, I will be doing that. You have that to look forward to. Okay, so let us begin with the questions then. So Heather, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I guess so. Just before we start though, I'd just like to say, for the record, and a disclaimer, I'm not a therapist. I have spent many years studying different theories of counselling and psychotherapy, but I'm not a qualified professional therapist. It's just a very strong passion of mine that I've researched a lot of, and just taking this opportunity to share what I've learned really in relation to D&D and how it's helped.
How has it helped?
It's kind of highlighted a few sort of these sub-personalities I referenced to in the intro, and highlighted them in the sense that I can now give like names to them and actually, have a time and place to bring them to the surface and actually become them fully in another world, which is even more exciting. So I think we're gonna I've got 4 characters that we're going to talk about today.
So yes, as Hevsky has stated, she has 4 characters. So firstly we're going to be talking about Hazel, I believe. Who is Hazel?
Hazel is a persona that I guess I've known about for a few years now. She's my sort of withdrawn, introverted, more feminine balance persona, where she is she's all about like wisdom, nature, withdrawn. She's got the flight instinct as opposed to the fight or fright. And as a character, she is a human, a young lady in her, let's say in the story that we're doing at the moment, in the early 20s, late teens, and she's very in touch with nature. She's a good hunter. She's taken on the role of her father after he passed away, leaving her mother, and her little brother, who is ill because the village that they live in is very poor and deprived, and they're forced to live on rations that they're delivered, which is not much in this particular town. So inspired a little bit, I guess, by Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games, she's taken on like the male role as to provide by hunting. She looks very soft and tame and timid on the outside. She's when I draw her, I think of her as having like my appearance, with like, you know, soft curls and round eyes, and she's got large watchful eyes as well. So she looks like a prey animal, maybe like a horse, or, you know, herd animal like a deer or something like that, or something that would flight by nature. But she has developed, you know, through, you know, taking on like a father's role, sort of in her own household. She's grown like robust and a lot of tolerance for dealing with mental health and issues that, you know, having a sick brother and a mother who's kind of deluded because of everything that's happened to their family and their poor state at the moment. So she's kind of like soft on the outside but tough on the inside, and she is a good hunter.
Okay, so could you please tell me then, what does Hazel represent?
She represents, in essence for me, introvertedness, wisdom, a natural instinct, like, you know, connection to the earth and that sort of thing. A feminine balance, you know, not sort of like, you know, girly traits and, you know, stereotypical like modern day feminine thing, but like a natural female's instinct sort of feminine balance.
Motherly.
Yeah, like kind of nurturing and you know, very passive, and she's you know, like a great listener and has a lot of patience. Yeah, she also, because of the story of where she is as well, she's used to being one of the boys, so she's very, very modest and not flaunt herself or anything like that. She's very much withdrawn and keeps herself to herself.
And not very ladylike, if memory serves right.
Well, she's feral, I would say that. So I'd say like feminine feral balance.
Feminine feral, I can see it on the next RuPaul's Drag Race now. Feminine feral.
Feral feminine, that's a better way of saying it, isn't it?
Yeah. So where does Hazel come from?
Like I say, I've known about Hazel for a few years, but she's always been there. She's probably like the largest part of me that wants to withdraw and run away when things get tough and I can't deal with the situation. Hazel comes from the part of me that just wants to withdraw and hibernate and not face up to issues and hide away, and, you know, like, you know, now with being a mother as well, just wanting to nurture everything within my own home and just, you know, hold on to it and, you know, hope it's all going to go away when the winter passes and I can come out and explore again when the sun comes out and the spring's here.
How does Hazel help?
Well, she helps when, like, again, that'll probably become more apparent when I talk about my next character, but she is the water and balance in me, so she reminds me to, you know, chill out and remain calm and you know, stay grounded as well and in touch with nature. So I might run away from things, you know, when it gets too bad, and I might just, like, you know, take off and need to, but sometimes it's necessary to, you know, cool off, go outside, take a walk, reconnect with nature, and that's when Hazel helps me rebalance, and then I can come back and, you know, voice what it is I need to say. So, because usually, like, initially when I'm upset, my initial response is to withdraw and hold in, and that is Hazel just telling me to shut down and take a break. So that's how she helps. Okay,
that's everything for Hazel, I think.
Alright, okay, well, I guess that brings us on to the next character then.
Let's not talk about the next character. Let us not talk about the next one. Okay then, who is the next character?
It's Kado, of course.
Right, would you like to tell us a bit about Kado?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely a favourite. Kado is my main protagonist and anti-hero in my novel that I was inspired to write through creating Kado as a character for one of your games, actually, wasn't it? One of your mutant games.
Yes, Kado originally was a mutant. I believe he had quite a lot going on. He was also a mental case in that one as well.
I sort of came up with a backstory of him because he was part elf, and I thought, okay, what can his elven background be? So it came across the idea that he hated his family, he detested his family, he has an elitist background, and he's the son of a very important lord in the world where he comes from. But he is extremely neglected, mistreated, abused, and been told to submit, suppress, and withhold all his feelings and emotions. Just sort of do as you're told, put down, as well as feeling neglected and unloved by his family. So of course this creates a rather chaotic character, rather than him ceasing to the commands and just sort of bending the knee and obeying. He gets to the ripened age of 16 where he just breaks free and in pursuit of starting an uprising against the elite of his very family. He carries the guilt, you see, of this for the citizens who have to live under the regimes of what this elitist dictatorship commands on the rest of the civilians. If they're not of elven blood, pure elven blood, then they are sort of downgraded, looked down upon, and they have very restricted lives. Depending on where they live, there's various districts in the world. So he has a rebirth, and he sort of rises from the ashes, and he has a very chaotic and rather neurotic rebirth. So he goes a bit insane. But he reconnects through living among nature, living in the wild, and getting inspired by the natural environment around him. Now, he's a strong hunter, is Kado. He's got a lot of fight. He's very intelligent. He's able to, take care of himself for a period of time in the wild, where he is inspired particularly by foxes. And a young, impressionable teenage elf, the only company he has for this time is a dog fox and his family, his vixen cubs. And it gets to the point he gets respect from this fox. He kind of builds a bond with this wild animal, and so this kind of goes with Kado, and he feels like that he is a wild animal, like he can take on the world. And although his mind is very unstable, his psyche is very delicate, he feels, sort of cocksure about himself, and there's nothing he can't take down. Once the rage is out there, because that's what Kado is all about. He's all about rage, pent-up rage, and being able to release it. He uses a phrase to inspire his potential followers in the story, which goes rage, tension, release. He actually befriends a mentor before he pursues this mission of starting an uprising. This mentor actually teaches him how to use a bow and how to focus his rage in a more productive means. His proficiency is with the bow. He does carry a knife, which has a significant meaning in his story, but being a hunter and survivalist, he's good with those kind of tools. He fights for justice, freedom, and most importantly, the anarchist society he wants the world to be. He feels like everyone deserves that freedom to sort of choose their way of living in the only way they knew how. So he is an anti-hero, of course. He has the greater good at heart, but he is not afraid to challenge and fight. Appearance-wise, Kado is a young teenage elf, He's very attractive. He's he's got long, straight, red-stained, blooded hair. He doesn't look like he would be a big threat from a distance. He's very slender. He's very small and petite. He's about, say, 5'3.5". But he does have this sort of aura and presence around him that when he gets ticked off, like, you don't want to mess with him. Like, he's got this rage and temper that can intimidate through subtle things like his tone, his eye contact, his snarl. When I'm writing about him, like, he doesn't smile, he snarls. So again, it's just that wild animal instinct in him. He kind of, just does what he wants.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. Thank you very much for sharing. Brilliant. Where is Kado from, and what does he represent?
So I'll start with what he represents first. Some key words. I guess he is definitely my anger, my fire, my fight, my rebel, and my insanity. Whereas Hazel is my feminine balance, Kado is my chaotic masculine balance. He definitely represents my anger in that respect, I guess. Most of the time when I'm Hazel, she's very strong in holding me back. But when Kado does slip through, yeah, that's all my fight and anger. That stems from a place where, I guess, when the going gets tough, and when push comes to shove, when I've really, like, this has only happened like a handful of times in my whole life, like, I've lost it. Kado represents that anger and fight that comes out. Fight also goes alongside rebellion too, because there are some sort of like deep-seated beliefs within me that I don't express, because it's it's very personal. So like those like sort of deep-seated beliefs or sort of rebellious thoughts or things that can get you in trouble, that I am able to hold in. Kado represents them coming out in some form or other. I tend to, if I rebel about anything, I do so in a rather discreet way, whereas Kado just comes out and just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to rebel so much that I'm going to form an uprising and say no to X, Y, and Z. So he's kind of like a political activist, which, I am certainly most not. I have other ways of expressing my beliefs and feelings, and RPG is definitely one of those ways. We all have masculine and feminine energy in all of us, and fire is a masculine element, whereas water is feminine. So that's why Kado and Hazel sort of come together to help each other keep that balance as a balance rather than being too much. So the reason I call Kado's masculine energy chaotic is because he represents everything chaotic about masculine energy, I guess. Sort of like fight, anger, rebel. Because Kado is uncontrollable at times, being mentally unstable. He will just sort of lash out. All my characters represent one of the four elements. Hazel being water, Kado being fire for one of them. For the record, I do not believe masculine energy is toxic. I don't believe any kind of masculine energy is toxic. I think it's healthy. It's important. It's very important to be able to release your feelings in an appropriate way. Because Hazel is like pretty much like 85% of me, as I come across. I've always been able to withdraw that and control that really well. Sometimes it's not been helpful, like when you get angry about something and it comes out as tears and you look upset. That's called a racket feeling. It's expressing a feeling that's not your true feeling. So I would get so angry that I would just break down into tears. And that's Hazel, sort of withdrawing, not being able to express the true feeling. Whereas Kado, I've been able to release that anger as true anger. So that concludes what he represents and where he comes from.
Yes, and I think it's also worthy to note as well that just expressing anger doesn't necessarily mean you're insane. It's a perfectly normal response. Right, I think we've got time for one more. You have answered the question quite a bit in your where it comes from sort of thing. But how does Kado help?
how does Kado help me? How has Kado not helped me? Well, like, there's so many ways he's helped, and I think that's why he's such an important character to me right now. Because I finally got to the point where I've realised that it's healthy to be angry about things. It's healthy to express angry feelings. Look, the people around you understand that this is all that's happening. To me, that's fine anyway. You know, some people can just rage out in front of anybody, and that's okay too. I mean, it might freak some people out. It freaks Hazel out. That's why she feels it's so important to withdraw it. Or if I've like witnessed them for myself, I've developed greater understanding for why they might be doing that. And I've finally, I think, got to the point where I've accepted anger as an emotion and rage, and just being like, yeah, I understand that. I understand why they're being so angry, because anger used to scare me. That's why I guess Hazel is probably withdrawn. I wasn't used to anger, like shouting and raging. Like at school, I was always scared of teachers that just lost it. You know, I just think they were crazy. So I guess that's why I associate anger with insanity as well. So Kado helped me understand that you do need anger, and you do need to be able to express it in a comfortable means and controlled way, which is why, like, in some therapy sessions, a client may get to, you know, have a go in a punching bag, or, you know, just shout, or, you know, I've listened to therapists who've talked about doing that sort of thing with their clients, and yeah, it's that rage tension release thing again. It's like, you feel a rage, you've just got this tension that you just got to release, and it's very, very healthy in relationships to just, you know, nip it in the bud sometimes. Like if you just feel that tension for too long, then you're not gonna get a true strike. You're not gonna hit the target because you're too shaken up under all the tension. When you do release, it's gonna be chaotic and just, you're not gonna get the right results. For me, exercise helps me do that a lot. I used to train in martial arts, karate specifically, where we did a lot of sort of kickboxing type training, impact shields, Thai pads, and physical body conditioning, where you just get to hit things. I used to train with a lot of guys, and it was close range combat, and that helped release that chaotic masculine energy. Kado has always helped me with that before I even gave him a name and a personality. That sub-personality has always been there. Once his story is out there, I believe he can inspire others. Kado's helped me accept that in a huge way. Just visualizing him in this whole story helps me on a day-to-day basis, knowing that I've got something in there that can express anger and rebellious thoughts and insanity as well in a creative way and hopefully inspirational way. So through writing and physical exercise and hitting things, that is definitely a way Kado helps me.
Great, fantastic, thank you very much, my love. Really, really good stuff. Lovely to listen to. We are approaching the half an hour mark of the video now, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. Please do stay tuned for part 2, where we talk about Heather's other two characters, Cynic and Magpie. So look forward to that, guys, and then you've got mine to look forward to. So thank you very much for watching, and thanks for making it this far in the video. It's taken a long time to put together, so thank you very much, and see you in the next part. Goodbye.